Fighting between rival drug cartels has led to thousands of deaths across Mexico in recent months. The border city of Juarez has been virtually ruled by masked criminals who have robbed and murdered at will. Just across from El Paso, Texas, this industrial city has seen almost 2,000 murders in the past year alone. City officials have been forced to resign or literally run for their lives. The U.S. Congress has even debated sending troops to the region as the bloody crime wave threatens to spill across the border. Mexican President Felipe Calderón has initiated what amounts to martial law in many parts of the country in order to quell the violence. In Juarez, more than 5,000 Mexican soldiers are patrolling the streets, along with hundreds of federal police. We're here on the edge of the city. It's a convoy of military police come in from Chihuahua. They've sent over 1,000 extra troops with dogs and armed to the teeth to put a stop to the rest of the violence. This show of force seems to be having its desired effect. I visited the General Hospital in Juarez to talk with emergency room doctors who literally have their fingers on the pulse of the city.
We measured the cases that we had from January 2008 to August, and we have more than 300 cases injured, not killed. Many days more than one a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so far this year?
Mm-hmm. No. It's this year is improving.
One of the biggest concerns is that the violence will creep north into the U.S. Last week, Congress made it clear U.S. troops would be sent to the border if needed. But according to the Border Patrol, increased vigilance is keeping the peace in the El Paso sector.
Yeah, we really haven't seen the violence spill over. Now, at the ports of entry, we have seen where individuals that have been shot in Mexico or in Juarez have been transported to the ports and then from there taken to a local hospital here in the U.S. In the last few years, what we have seen is an increase in violence against some of our agents. The reason being is, as we're becoming more successful in controlling our borders and gaining control of what's going on, the smugglers are becoming more desperate.
But Roberto Hernandez, the consul general at the Mexican consulate in El Paso, points out the need for cooperation on both sides of the border.
It's not just a matter how many cartels we do have in Mexico. It's not a matter how many users you have in the United States, millions maybe. It's a matter of shared responsibility to fight against the organized crime. And in fact, it's a global responsibility. We are committed to do that.
With a State Department warning against travel to Mexico, the normally lucrative spring break is turning out to be a flop this year. But some say the government and tourists are using the border violence to paint this country with too broad a brush. Steve Calvert came to Mexico 8 years ago to start a sport fishing business.
You can't judge the United States by what happens in Los Angeles at 2 o'clock in the morning, so you certainly shouldn't judge Mexico on what happens in Juarez.
San Carlos is a resort area north of Mazatlan, and it's normally booked solid this time of year. Now, its beaches and businesses are almost empty, and that's adding to an already hurting economy.
You know, Catch-22 sport fishing, we're probably off about 50% off the mark this year. And I think that the economy in the States is a big factor. We have a joke down here that everybody's 401k just turned into a 201k, now it's a 101k.
You know, things got so bad in Juarez that they had to close the airport because of violence back a few weeks ago. But now with all the troops that have come in, violence is way down, things are a lot better, and the people of Juarez are very thankful for it. Constant media coverage of the violence, however, paints an image that's hard to overcome. Terry Bilderback heads up the missions outreach for the First Baptist Church of El Paso.
Historically, we have had groups that have been willing to come and be involved in missions from around the United States. We have seen a reduction in the number of folks that are willing to come here and cross the border. In addition, First Baptist has ended up curtailing the mission activities that we are involved in Mexico.
The push for peace and divine intervention, however, is strong. Last week, members from over 800 churches in Juarez held a 7-day prayer vigil outside the municipal center, begging God to bring peace to the city.
Yes, we're coming here to pray every day, 24 hours a day. Last night we have like about 300, 350, but when we finish, I know we're going to have at least about 1,500 people. We love this city.
They're also hoping that missions groups won't stay away for long.
We're praying to God for them to come this year. because it's a blessing for them to come here.
The administration of President Calderon is committed to fight against the organized crime. The government is in control of the situation. Of course, we are facing a lot of different kind of problems, but in the meantime, we are going to continue the fight until we succeed.
At this point, nobody can say whether or not this Mexican surge will stop the violence for good, and the United States government is keeping a wary eye on the border. For now, these Christian men and women are praying that the fragile peace will hold. Chuck Holton, CBN News, Ciudad Juarez, Mexico.